Hello, welcome to CarCast. I'm Matt the Motorator DeAndre here with Bill Goldberg. How are you? How's the
The pig,
ranch?
the pig slayer.
The pig slayer. Yeah, so life on the ranch, right? Like you've got this property and you've got, Wanda's got all the animals that she's taking care of, and then on some level you have to protect those animals
Yeah,
from other wildlife.
yeah, we got 200 acres. Wanda does her thing with the critically endangered animals, and we've got a bunch of sheep and a bunch of goats that are half tame, half wild. And like every day, there's a new baby out there, and we've been losing babies like right and left. And in Texas or in any other place, there's predators, right? And so you have to identify the predator based upon what happens to the animal, whether you find the animal dead or what state,
Yeah,
whatever it
right.
is, man. And I don't know of a Jacques Cousteau, or I mean, I don't know of a detective that can truly figure it out if you don't have a body, right? And so it's a guessing game. So very long story short, there's a company that came out and called iRay, who donated their services and donated some thermal imaging scopes. And these things ain't cheap, man. They're nuts. And I got a FedEx guy pulling up to my garage right now, and I'm gonna kill him. Um, uh, anyway, it's a you talk about the nuisance of the animals, but
Yeah,
in all honesty, my wife, right? I
yeah.
mean, she's one of the gnarliest humans on the planet. Nothing scares my wife except for this big giant black pig that's been showing up on our property like nightly. And I had him in my scope, my night vision scope, which is not the best way to do it. And my gun jammed like 3 nights ago, right? And so, yeah, man, those things are absolutely So I've got the one on the top, on the bottom left, but I got the new version of it. Not the bottom left; it's that one right there. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, we're looking at the iRay
Dude,
scope.
the thing is absolutely unbelievable. The detail, the options that you have on it, man. It. I'm not the biggest hunter by any stretch. I probably hunted like 3 times in my entire life. But as I was getting into, uh, this pig is terrifying my wife because she goes up at the barn every night, and it's 10 o'clock, it's dark, she's feeding the babies, and boom, she sees this pig, and this damn thing's got to be 250, 300 pounds.
Okay.
And so I enlisted some people's help, and they came out to help me last night. And let's just say we didn't get the big boy, but we got a couple of its siblings, and we got a different type of animal also. We got a number of them, foxes. They take down these babies like it's nothing, right? And so at the end of the day, I'm now a hunter, and now I'm fully prepared to take care of our property. But I don't know if I've ever woken up so sore in my entire life, except for maybe playing a football game or wrestling or something. But it's amazing the amount of ground that we covered last night. I'm talking with tripods and rifles on our shoulders. It was crazy. And you know me, dude. I'm not an animal activist by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm the furthest thing from, an irresponsible hunter.
Yeah.
There's a reason why you do everything. And my reason is completely justified because nothing on this planet is going to live if it terrifies my wife. It's not going to happen. And so, it's just we had to do we had to do, and we delved into it last night. What an experience, man! The guy from CGC, from Cars, Guns, and Coffee,
Yeah.
that did all my Cerakoting. He Cerakoted the gun, and man, this gun is absolutely. I'm going to send you another picture of it.
Yeah.
It's
There's a picture, but
so,
it's pretty dark. Obviously, you
yeah,
guys are out at
it
2 in the morning.
is so cool, man. And he came out and he helped, and I'm just really appreciative of the guys for coming out and not only lending the apparatus to make it happen, but lending their time, helping us eradicate this nuisance we have on the property. But it was a different experience. Let's just say that. So I'm waking up extremely sore, but I'm extremely thankful that we were able to do tip of the iceberg. But let's
Yeah.
talk car stuff. But anyway, the photo that I'm sending you is the gun was Cerakoted by the same guy who did all of the Cobra stuff, and all of the Cobra stuff is sitting behind me on the bench. It's all wrapped up. Every single thing that we wanted to get Cerakoted is completely done, and I'm happy to say that Saturday we're going to start on the what is it, Ron Francis wiring.
Yeah. Ron Francis.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
so if you zoom into that, man, I mean, the thing is absolutely gnarly. Uh, with the Goldberg skull and the who's next on it, and Wanda added her little, the piece to the puzzle, and on the, not the slide but the cover, it's on the other side. It says "Justice of the Peace," spelled Piece. But it's just, I mean, I'm so appreciative of this guy. But this is what they do. This is what CGC does. They do the Cerakoting, and just so happen they're now doing automotive parts. And
Yeah.
I can't thank them enough for the help that they're giving me. Like I said, Saturday morning he's coming out, Clint from CGC, and then the guy right across the road from him that I said does all the aftermarket Cobra stuff.
Yeah.
We're going to start on the wiring harness. So that should be an all day adventure. It's finally going to be started. Ron Francis, the company, reached out last week, and they're like, what's going on with that wiring harness? So now it's time to start. But it's a great place to start. It's probably the hardest thing that we're going to embark upon with the build of this vehicle. But it's starting from scratch, and it's building a harness. And I'm going to learn throughout the process. I've never done one before. I know it's going to be arduous, laborious, and a pain in the ass, but you got to start somewhere. And after the harness is done, we can start putting everything back together.
Did they have one specifically for the Cobra, for like your Cobra kits, or was it like a universal one and you
Well,
built
I
it from
thought,
there, because they have quite a few options?
yeah, I thought that they were going to send me a Cobra kit, but they didn't. I'm not poo-pooing them by any stretch of the imagination, because I'm greatly appreciative of them, donating to the cause. But yeah, we're going to have to build this sucker from scratch. So.
Yeah.
It'll be entertaining, and everybody's got different accessories that they're running on their vehicle, and mine is no different. So,
Because I thought they did, like, I don't know if they had something Cobra specific, but like for like the Factory 5 cars, those Cobras, if you will, that they create, I think they do the wiring harness for those cars. So I don't know if it's going to be the exact thing, but even having a universal harness and doing it from scratch, as long as you're with somebody that's done it before, it's a little, like tedious, as you said, if you're trying to figure it out for the first time on your own.
don't reinvent the wheel, dude. That's the one thing that I've learned. I'm not going to go out and buy a scope and try to go out and run it myself in a hunting situation, nor am I going to get a wiring harness and start putting it together by myself. I mean, practice makes perfect, no question. And if you don't have any background in it, then, you got to reach out to the professionals. And I have no ego when it comes to that, quite obviously. And you always, you're only, as a person and as an entity, you're only as good as the people that surround you. So,
yeah. At least for one of those tasks, you could channel your inner Stone Cold Steve Austin. I know he was big on his ranch, and he's just like, there's a deer population and you got to do a thing. I don't know much about it, but he's like, he was up before he moved to Nevada, when he was out in Texas, they'd have to get up in the helicopter and kind of scope out what's happening. So
that's what drones are for, because I ain't getting up in no freaking helicopter with any of these guys that fly like that, because I've had one here, and they make dudes in Vietnam look like freaking paupers, man. They're absolutely nuts, because they spotted some hogs when they were here. They were helping us clean out the deer population, because you can only have certain amount on
Yeah.
per acre, and then they start inbreeding, and then it's just not a good thing. And I saw these guys doing what they were doing. They flushed out a bunch of hogs, came back and said, "Hey, you want to go up with us?" Absolutely not. There's no way I would do that. So that's what drones are for.
Yeah,
Um,
use the drones. Plus, you
absolutely.
guys were in the middle of the night or early in the morning. It's dark. It's different. It's different than, you know, flying in the neighbor's helicopter or something, or a friend's helicopter
Oh
for,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
These guys are freaking. There's no
for a
doors
car
on it. They're
show.
hanging out both sides. More power to them, because they can freaking fly those helicopters like I can drive my freaking Challenger. And it's a daunting task. It truly is. It's
Yeah.
there in no way it ain't happening. Not gonna happen. Not on my watch.
Um, all right, let me hit our friends at Bet Online real quick, the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for betting on all the madness. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, Bet Online is your ultimate game day companion. With the largest selection of odds on everything from college basketball to a $200,000 bracket contest, BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source. From every Cinderella story to every hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. So out in the middle of the night, cleaning up the property, making it safe for all the animals. And then here you are back in the garage, got the Cobra project in the works. I'm glad the Cerakote stuff worked out. It was a great conversation with them, being able to just ask a lot of questions on that process, because, and I've got some pieces that are Cerakoted, but I never really got into it or why to use it and the difference, other than I knew, like powder coat maybe more durable but thicker, and that's why it's more durable, right? Like if you're going to get a little ding or a rock chip, but they seem to
Yeah,
be
I mean,
pretty tough.
in the beginning, I thought the same thing, but just like powder coating, you can go several layers when you Cerakote, and they have different types of Cerakote. Heat resistant, and then ones that take 5 days to cure, ones that take 5 hours to cure,
Yeah.
and it's a intricate process to where if you're from the outside looking in, like us, not knowing anything about it, it's like, I don't know. But now having to do it myself, I sprayed some stuff. I beat blasted all this stuff. We prepped the stuff. It's cool, and it's great to have another option as a car guy, right? You know that.
Yeah. Yeah, right. And then the Cobra, I guess just the chassis, the rolling chassis is going over. Are you bringing the body? Are you bringing all of it over to that other shop that's working on Cobras to start on the wiring? I guess
We're
you're.
going to do as much of it here at Goldberg's Garage as humanly
Oh,
possible.
right.
It
So they're
it
gonna
ain't
come over to your
moving.
place.
Yeah, it is not moving. Not until it has to move. I think there's some fabricating he's going to do on the chassis itself to give me a better a better footwell. I
Oh,
think they
okay.
can drop
Yeah.
it down a tiny bit, like 2 inches, and but anything rudimentary we can do here. I mean, whether it's brakes or putting the body back, whatever it may be, you know, I
Yeah.
think I think we're going to be fine here for 90% of it. Um, we'll probably be doing a podcast over at his place at some point with the Cobra in the background, but at the end of the day, I'd love to be able to do as much of it here as possible. And Clint from CGC, he's the car guy. He's coming out and lending a hand, so we'll have 3 people on it. And I take directions quite well when it comes to the stuff that I don't know what I'm doing, and so I'm not the stupidest guy in the world. I can work with the best of them, and I'm looking forward to it. At the end of the day, again, it's a learning process, and you never can know enough about these cars, and you never can know everything about these cars. And I don't know shit comparatively, and I like to learn. So
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess if you're going to do it all over there, it gives you an opportunity to figure out what you can film, what you can put up on the YouTube channel at Goldberg's Garage, and be able to sit and chat with those guys while they're there doing that for on camera. So yeah,
yeah, and
looking for
don't
more.
reinvent the wheel. And like I say, I've lost so much time doing stuff here. Uh, taking the header bolts off and putting them in the tumbler and trying to recode them. Well, shit, just go to as an ARP and freaking buy black ones, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, truthfully, time is money also. So don't waste your time doing something that can really be rectified by just purchasing a small kit that cost me $29 for the header
Right.
bolt. And they're black and they're beautiful and they're not going to chip because I'm not coating them. So, and I guess I could have Cerakoted them, right?
Yeah.
But why not just buy what's already available that are already in the finish and they're guaranteed not to chip, right? So,
Yeah. 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 It's good. Sometimes the easier solution is the way to go. I mean, if you're trying to specifically learn how to do it, but you did that already with the other stuff, and
I did it. I did it with the freaking GTX convertible.
Yeah.
That's how I met Mark Warman. I'm watching his show and I'm trying to beat. I put all the bolts in the tumbler and to try to do a restoration properly. I mean, I'm matching the heads of the bolts. Because they're all different, whether it's the engine compartment, whether it's tranny stuff, whether it's suspension, that they're all different, right? And so I put them in the tumbler, I bead blast them, and then I try to finish them, and they freaking start turning yellow or they chip. And then I'm like, oh, God, man, why don't I look at a guy who's done it a trillion times before? And that's where Warman and I started our relationship, and I don't think it's ever going to end because he's still got my coronet.
Yeah. How is Mark? We haven't talked to him in a while. We got to get him back on here and see how he's doing.
Mark's awesome, man. We definitely got to get him back on. We can get him back on and press him about the coronet, but he'll be a little curmudgeon because he's really busy, those guys.
Yeah.
And to be able to interject a new project into his schedule already, I mean, that's a tough ask. But I gave him a car, for God's sake, so he owes me one.
Right, right. But I tell you, you say you can't learn too much. You can't know too much unless you're Mark Warman. I think he kind of knows. In his world, he's an encyclopedia when it comes.
Well,
to that.
There's a finite number of things to know, right, or to learn, and he's done the process so many millions of times, and there's only so many things to do on all of these old cars, and repeatedly doing the same type of car, where A body, B body, E body, whatever it is, if it's a Mopar product, the guy's already done it a trillion times, so he could do it with his eyes closed.
Yeah. I know you were doing stuff with him for your show, for the Paramount Plus show. Have you gotten any feedback from them yet? What's going to happen with that? Nothing. They're just kind of being.
I know what's going to happen with it. They're going to air it, and they're going to be extremely proud of it. But at the at this juncture, it's tough because I don't know if you know much about the change in the process, but going from network to streaming service is a freaking completely different entity. Yeah. Whether it's the preparation, whether it's the execution, or the editing, or waiting to see when it's going to air, because their service is completely different than others, than a network. So I'm learning it. I'm not enjoying it by any stretch, because they put a huge rush on us, if you remember, to get all of these episodes filmed. And I'd kind of like to know what the hell's going on and why you rushed it so much if it's now March and you haven't told me anything about when it's going to air. I'm extremely proud of it. The fact is that I'm antsy because I'm proud of the product and I want everyone to see it. And I think they're going to be flipped out when they do see it, because there's nothing else like it out there. And right now in the landscape of automotive programming, I mean, I'm watching shit on Motor Trend, that unless you like that program, you ain't going to watch Motor Trend that entire day, because they're doing back to back episodes of the same freaking stuff.
Yeah.
And I get it. I know why they're doing it. It's out of necessity, but still, there is nothing out there like Carlectables, and it is going to be really cool. And truth be told, I want to start freaking season 2,
Right. I mean, but they're not they haven't even come to you with a potential air date. I mean, at the time it was supposed to be sort of like Q1, but now that we're getting to the end of that, it's not going to be Q1, and they've got to be able to at least work on some promotion and work with you on it and ramp up the
Well,
promotion.
you would surely think so, and you would surely think that they'd want to take advantage of YouTube, my YouTube channel, and a CarCast
Yeah.
to push it and to get people excited, because I've got B-roll from every single episode we did, and I can put it up on Goldberg's Garage the week before the episode airs to
Yeah.
get people excited about what they're going to see. So it's like I say, it's a completely different strategy. I don't get it, but there's a lot that I don't get, and I'm learning as we go. And let's be perfectly honest, there's a finite drop dead date on when they can approach me for season 2. And if that date passes, then I'm going on to do it elsewhere.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah. And you're right. So the landscape has changed, and not to, to turn this into you know, a, a production company, CarCast episode. But yeah, I'm working on, getting another show out, just not even automotive related, just help producing a show, and just the process of doing it. Talk to a big network, not even a streaming network. Talk to a big network, and you're right. Just the process, the feedback. They're like, we love everything about it. We love the hosts. We love the competition portion. We love this, but we just don't love like the theme of what you're doing. And I'm like, well, that's the show. And so,
Exactly.
and they're like, yeah, but we like all the other components to it, but just sort of change the theme. I go, you mean like the theme, the title, like,
Well, then
it'd be like
here's
going to them and going, hey, it's a baseball show, but we've got all these people, and they go, we love everything about it, but we don't want it to be baseball.
well, yeah, and truthfully, if you could get some immediate feedback as to the direction they want to go,
Yeah.
instead of you trying to present something that they continue to say, well, no, we don't like that because of this. Well, no. Well, then give me what you want.
Yeah. So, but being so much on not really the content creation side, is just like my actual day job with the companies that I work with is so much on the marketing of it, right? A lot like what you guys do. If you think about what WWE is, like, it's promotion every week to a main event, right? So you guys understand all of the marketing and promotion leading up to the big moneymaker event. And that's a lot of what marketing is
And
for
that
what
part
I do.
hasn't changed.
No, but the pitch now is, you talk to a network and they're like, again, in my example, they're like, we love everything except we don't want it to be baseball themed. We want it to be car themed or football themed, right? And
Well,
then,
then you don't love everything about
yeah. So instead of going, tell me what you want, I'm actually going to them and saying, well, let me come back to you with the data to prove the audience is there for this theme.
it. Mhm.
And the other thing is what I've been telling the other producers and seasoned producers, by the way. I go, listen, I know you guys go in, you have a history of going in, selling shows, they're being successful. I go, but the market now is you have to bring dollars with you. You have to bring money
Oh,
with
yeah.
you. I said,
Yeah.
so yes, you should be out there pitching your network, but also you should have a version of your deck where you're pitching advertisers, sponsors, like
Unless,
integrations.
unless if you bring the sponsor to the table, you get a greater portion of it than normal, right?
Yes.
So, there's a lot of ways to skin a cat. But, you know, just give us a hand, man. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all. And I could get a phone call and all of this angst could be changed in 1 second, right?
Right.
But again, if I wasn't so proud about it, if I wasn't so proud of it, and if they weren't so positive in their feedback about it, I would, I'd be worried about its quality. But I'm not. I just want it on the air.
Yeah.
Right. And I gotta say, Paramount Plus is one of the best streaming platforms there is. With the programming they have existing, it's freaking on fire. And I'm telling you, Ours is just as good, if not better, than other stuff that they put out.
Yeah, and their big dramatic shows have done so much to bring in an audience, and I think having something like this is also kind of fun to, to put in the mix of their programming. And I listen,
Absolutely.
I know what you've done on the show. I know the work you guys put into it. I know you're eager to do more, go bigger and better.
Well, and that's another huge factor right now, right? Because I continually send them ammunition about going for season two, because I get all these invites, whether it's doing a charity event, exotic car event in Daytona, and the next day Mike Skinner and I get the track, right? I
Yeah.
mean, that's an episode right there that's unbelievable. And I get so many different opportunities along the way. It's just a shame to squander them because of a lackadaisical, attitude of, I don't know how to really characterize it, but the opportunities we both get automotive wise, and
Yeah.
it's surely a shame to squander them because executives are sitting in their office going, I wonder when to put this up. And, the clock's ticking, man. I got events every weekend that I get invited to, and every one of them would be seriously killer content for this show. But, a week goes by, there goes another opportunity. Another week goes by, there goes another opportunity. Talk about the truck that we're putting together,
Mhm.
for Ram and for MagnaFlow,
Yeah.
for SEMA. I mean, this truck is going to be absolutely sickening. It's going to be unbelievable. I cannot
Yeah.
wait.
The M715.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we're getting the TRX being delivered Friday this week to Salvaggio, so we're going to have all the drivetrain and pull that body off, put the other body on. It's not that simple by any stretch,
Yeah.
but yeah, I wish. And then uh, we're I've got a long block down at Gearhead Fabrication, and DSR has jumped on board to take the long block and do their thing to it, and it's going to be a DSR 1200 or a DSR 1500, and we've got all these opportunities, and that in itself is a huge. It has huge value to the content of a show like what we're doing. So,
Right.
these
And
things can't wait because there's a finite deadline of SEMA, as
right.
anyone knows. And so, I mean, it would be great to do the chronological build of the damn thing and see the end result. Talk about the Coronet. I mean, the 68 hardtop GTX that I traded Warman for a 70 Coronet. You know, he's got it out of blasting, or they dipped it, or I don't know, whatever they did. And, hopefully they're finishing up the metal work as we speak. And, all of this process, along with the DSR 1200 that's got 001 on it, serial number wise, that
Yeah.
I put together at DSR. I mean, all of this is content that people were really going to love to see. And it's just a shame. It's television, man. It's just a
Yeah.
shame that, timing is doesn't seem as it's of the essence right now to get stuff done.
And
But
there's other fun stuff too. I was just thinking about that. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. Yeah, so another thing that came up too is you kind of have you have to get back to Goodwood because you're due for a redo, if you know what I mean.
yeah, for like 12,000 reasons. But yeah, I'd like to take the Lawman to Goodwood. You know, I'd
Yeah.
like to take this new Coronet that's probably going to end up having like 2,000 horsepower to Goodwood. Um, there's so many things to do and so many opportunities. The Texas Mile. I'd like to run the Texas Mile, but from what I understand, I think it's this month. And
Yeah.
obviously, I'm
Right.
not going to run it right now.
So that'll have
Uh,
to wait another year. The one of the featured marks that they're honoring at Goodwood this year is Gordon Murray
oh,
Automotive. And Goodwood, they're gonna pull out all the stops and bring, F1s and the new T50,
the GTR, the old
T33,
old
yeah,
school one.
the F1 GTR, the race cars, and the little car and the van or the bus or whatever he made, just all the stuff that Gordon Murray has done over the
And
years.
the off-road vehicle that he did, you know,
Yeah. So they're gonna have the full lineup of that. So that would be really exciting to see all of that stuff. And
I
he's
wonder
such
how
an
McLaren
intriguing.
is going to mesh with him right now, right?
Is what?
So I wonder how McLaren will mesh with him, or if there will be, like an integration of what he did in the past, what he's doing, now in the present. So
I that's a good question. I I I think they play nice. I think there's nothing really there. I don't know. I haven't talked to Gordon Murray specifically about it. He's wonderful to interview, by the way. But
but
I
nobody knows how the separation went, right?
Yeah, and
Except
I
for
just
them.
think like so much of whatever management at McLaren is different than now, and there's a lot of credibility and honor in having the McLaren F1.
Oh my God.
That
Yeah.
car and what that car is worth. So that's good for him, and that's good for McLaren. And I believe McLaren has a pretty big presence at Goodwood anyway. So why
Well, no
not?
question, no question they
Yeah.
do. But are they going to play ball and somehow positively affect his business existing now? Right? I don't know. We
Yeah, I
don't
don't
know
think the
those things.
companies are working together. That's never come up in any time I've chatted with him. Like he's Gordon Murray Automotive that
Understood.
is
But
doing.
as I say, if they're two separate entities, no matter if you take into the account of the history that he has with them,
Yeah,
are they going to be? Is their ego going to get in the way of hope of maybe positively influencing what he's doing now? Right? You know what I mean? So
yeah, and I don't
who
know, but
knows?
it'd be great to see a McLaren F1 next to a T50 next to the new McLaren like W1, whatever it's
That's
called.
heaven for a car guy. That's freaking
Yeah,
heaven,
yeah, you'd want to see
right?
all of that stuff. You know,
Absolutely.
He has the T50 Niki Lauda, which is the track edition of that car. He's got the smaller one, the T33, and the T33 Spider. But I think at Goodwood, they may be debuting another version of the T33. It could be a track version or some limited edition version
Yeah.
of that as well. So that'll also be significant for Goodwood, will be whatever he's going to debut. It's an opportunity for him, of course, to debut something new. And again, you're talking about the relationship between McLaren and Gordon Murray Automotive. I think Gordon Murray Automotive just recently announced like not a restoration side, but sort of a bespoke side. You know how Ferrari, you go to Ferrari with enough money and go, listen, I love. You could go to them and go, hey, listen, I love what you're doing with the new 12 cylindry, but I'm going to do it custom, and here's my thought, and we're going to rebody it, and you get sort of the one-off bespoke thing. I think Gordon Murray Automotive is going to be doing something like that within the company, and
But
something a
what are they
little
going to be? What are
historical.
they going to be doing it on? What are they going to be restoring? Are
Well,
they going to
what
be
I'm so
restoring
is
McLarens?
yeah, I think might be able to take an F1 to him and go, let's freshen this thing up or whatever. We have to talk to him more about what that means within the company. They had this announcement about they're like, we're going to do this other arm, sort of a personalization side, because a lot of people have been, I guess, going to him with various cars and things he's touched in the past and
Yeah.
said, we want your input on it, or we want some modifications, or we want some service. And I think they've been working on launching that part of the business. And I
But
forgot
if
who
they
they're
went their separate ways in a negative form and fashion, then they're not going to want to rub him the right way for his business. I
yeah.
don't know. You just never know.
But if you go to auction and spend 20 something $1 million on a McLaren F1, in the past, those cars were fitted to each owner, right? Because the seats are kind of fixed. And do you, do you take that if you buy one? Do you take it to Gordon Murray Automotive, or do you take it to McLaren?
Well, if McLaren has the ability to do what you want with it, I would say you go to McLaren. But it doesn't sound like they're willing to take that part of the business and expand it. I don't know. I don't know if they offer anything like that. And maybe that's why the relationship is where it is right now with Gordon
Yeah.
Murray. I just don't know. I mean, I'm speaking on a subject that I really don't know a lot of information on. But yeah, I mean, Jesus Christ, to be able to have an F1, number one, is an unbelievable accomplishment. But number two, to get the guy who designed the freaking thing, to upfit it with
Yeah.
whatever you want. I mean, that's
It's
unbelievable.
it's interesting
It's like having
because
a Yanko and going to Don Yanko in 2025,
yeah,
and having them retrofitted or do whatever with it. I mean, it's just unbelievable opportunity, and I'm sure it's not going to be cheap.
he's got such an early start in the space that I want to say Gordon Murray's late 70s, 78.
I would
And
think
there's
right in that
and
ballpark area.
they're celebrating 60 years of Gordon Murray in the automotive space. So, you know, he was he was a youngster
That's
when
an
he started.
understatement, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
which is good. So anyway, of course we love those events, the hill climb event and the vintage race event. The where it's more period correct and everybody dresses period correct. They're both great, but yeah, for what you're doing and certainly for the show or even just Goldberg's Garage to get back out to Goodwood for the hill climb and try to get something registered. I mean, I don't know about the Lawman up the hill climb. There's a lot of turns in the Flint wall, but
Understood, but they've inquired about it in the past.
yeah, but to
You
have
know,
that car out there, and just to you're right, just to do the exhibition run, to fire it up and then bring it out in front of the crowd and
fired up and blow the tires off
yeah,
right in the beginning, right?
just
And
do
then
the
just
big
take your
burnout
time
and
going
then
up. I ain't
yeah,
gonna risk hitting the wall at 120 like I did Skinner's truck. I can tell you that. But
yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's an iconic piece of automotive history that needs to be shared with as many people as possible. And it's the only one in the world. And yes, it's a Ford, like all the things that you have behind you.
yeah,
But the story behind that car is unparalleled to 99% of the vehicles that are out there that everybody touts as the coolest thing there is.
yeah,
This is the only one in the freaking world, and the backstory is unbelievable. So share it with as many people as possible, and that's the goal. It's like the sleigh. Truthfully, for me to have them in the garage is a wonderful thing. But as an automotive enthusiast, I like to share them with as many people as possible to carry on the tradition, what they stood for. So,
yeah. And I think now that the Lawman Mustang is been done for a little while, and I know it was in storage because you were building the garage still, but to take that out to a few places, like it should go to Monterey Car Week. Honestly, it should visit Ford's headquarters in Michigan at some point. Uh,
yeah.
they've got the new building up there. What was the building? It was like the old train station or something. So they kind of turned it into a historical museum and an
Yep.
office, and it's a huge, building there. And I know there's so much like new stuff, but it seems like that, it should make a few stops and let people see it and enjoy it because it's such a cool piece.
Absolutely. And, the only way to continue on the auto enthusiasts lifestyle that we've been, living for the last number of years, I mean, you have to share the old with the new. It's the
Yeah.
only way for them to really appreciate it, because if the story isn't pressed in front of them, then they're 90% of them aren't going to know anything about it.
Yeah. And actually, I know the car is sitting in the bubble.
It's not only sitting in the bubble, but it now has a hero cover on it.
It's got the hero cover on it
So it's
and it's in the
double
bubble.
protected.
When was the last time you fired it up?
Yep. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
It's been way too long.
it's been a
And
minute.
I'm
Yeah.
waiting for that first fire up to do it on Goldberg's Garage.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
let's be honest.
And you got to unwrap it. You got to take the cover out. You got to get it out of the bubble. Like we got to see
I'm
the
going
whole.
to lay some rubber right in front of Goldberg's Garage in. And that's a day that I've been wanting to experience for a long time. And I fired it up probably 3 years ago. And no vehicle should be sitting that long without being
Yeah.
fired.
Yeah. And we should when you get to doing that, you should have at the very least we should have Marcus Angel back on the podcast.
Oh,
If
a
he can't
thousand
come
percent.
out to the garage, we should we should have him back on and talk a little bit about that before we get into it and
Well, I'd
get
love
into the
to. I
car.
mean,
But
he made this thing happen, you know?
yeah, Ben, yeah, we're talking about a guy who's been busy too, man. You follow Angel Restorations on social media,
Yeah.
and yeah, his shop is always. I wasn't out in Arizona for Barrett Jackson long enough to visit his open house. He usually does an open house, and it's gotten really kind of big
Yeah.
over the years. I went a few years ago when he was working on the Lawman Mustang, and he had like the engine kind of blown apart, and then some of the body panels that were just being painted were still on the rack.
Yep.
So that's how long ago that I was there at his place when he was working on that car.
That was a while ago for sure. Um, yeah, that was definitely a while ago. And hey, man, we're not getting any younger, and the story needs to be told, and the story needs to be shared. So,
Yeah. Um, all right. Well, before we wrap up, what else is going on? What's next?
oh Jesus. Well, let's see. I'm still eating 10,000 calories a day. They've let me loose uh, in the weight room to an extent. And a week from tomorrow, or a week from today, when the show airs, I will be given my full release, and that I can get back in the into my kickboxing and stuff like that, and to get my training ramped up another level. But I'm feeling really good, man, and that's in the coming months. I would imagine in 2025 at some point I'm going to have this match, and if you've been watching my Instagram,
Yeah.
and there's a new company that took over all my social media.
Okay.
It's a company called Storytellers, and I got over 14 million views in a week on the videos that they put out. And
I'm
let's be honest, you know, I'm void of wanting to put wrestling out, you know, pretty much. I want to stay current, but at the end of the day, you've got to touch on the things that made you who you are to further expand your audience in the present day. So they have shown me in posting wrestling videos that people still appreciate what I did, and people really have an appetite for it. And so you build your following up, and you satiate them with what they want to see, and then you can drop bombs on them, from other directions with other content. And I got my Twitter account back after 6 years of
Yeah, I
being
saw
dormant.
that.
I mean, my God, they got it back for me in 30 minutes while I was on the computer with them. It's amazing the things that these people are able to do. They do Bobby Kennedy's social media.
Okay.
And so it's blending a 70-year-old guy who's a politician and who's in the public eye, quite obviously more so than 90% of the people in the world, but presenting it in today's form to satiate the people who are younger and introduce him to them in a way that entertains them at the same time. And so
Yeah.
I've been very fortunate for them to take over my social media. Now, next Thursday, a week from today, we're going to be meeting in town with a group that's going to probably take over my YouTube side. And so watch out, everybody. The big guns that have made their mark on YouTube, I'm employing the people who did their production and who did their editing. And man, we're going to ramp it up to a completely different level. It's going to be unreal. I'm very excited about it. And like I said, truthfully, in compiling a team, you have to put your ego aside, thinking that you know everything, and employ the people who are the best at what they do. And
Yeah.
so that's ultimately, it took me, I don't know, 2 years to figure that out YouTube wise, but it's coming full circle, and I'm very much looking forward to where it's going to end up, and we'll be able to put some content out there that hopefully satiate everybody in the car space.
Yeah, and like you said, the wrestling clips, they're fun to see, and it's a fun reminder of you and the character and some of the big events and matches, which were fun. And it's not out of context because, like you said, you are coming back for one last time. So
Absolutely, and it reintroduces my true character to people who just look in the internet and read what schmucks put up there. And the fact is, I did shit that people have never done before, and it makes me appreciate what I put into it and the groundbreaking character I think that I brought to the table that nobody had ever done before. And it truly gives me a different appreciation for my wrestling days and appreciation for a new group of people that enjoy what I did. And hopefully
And,
I'll be able to bring a little bit of that back, you know?
and one of the things that stands out in those clips though is uh, the fans. The fans were just they were just going nuts. Anything from your entrance to some of the moves to the the storyline. I mean, chanting Goldberg, like it was so much fun. And I've been to one of them and I've seen it in person, and I hope to go to the final match. But it's electrifying. Like it's so exhilarating. The whole building.
You know me, dude. You're a very good friend of mine, and at the top of the list of people who are the most self-deprecating. But this truly brings back memories that I should be extremely proud of.
Yeah.
And it's made me appreciate what I did a little bit more, even though I'm never going to pat myself on the back. But hey, man, I was killing it when I was in my prime. I was killing it. There was nothing out there like me. And I need to sit back and appreciate the things that I've accomplished sometimes. And if anything, their modus operandi has made me do that.
Yeah. And you did get to do it with Gage, and that's something no one can ever take away from the both of you, which
No.
was so fun. And I was there for some of that. So
And I can break a little news here. Gage will be leading the procession of people that are walking me to the ring.
yeah, as he should, as he should. And they're going to show a clip of him then and him walking you out. he's he's a big
He's
boy.
going to be pissed because he was a little fat tub of ball shit or whatever. But he doesn't like looking at that old stuff. But the fact is that look how far he's come since then.
Right. Like what you're saying now, he'll appreciate it more sometime in the future. He'll appreciate it more and go, that was an opportunity that it was so rare and it was fun and he was in there with you. And Wanda was there and she's seeing her two boys in there. It's fun. It was fun to see. Yeah, it was good.
It is. It truly is. And it's something that's given me the opportunity, like you said, to be able to share it with the most important people in my life.
Yeah.
And that no one can ever take away from me. And that is an honor that not many people in the world are bestowed. And I am greatly appreciative of it.
Yeah. All right. Well, good. Looking forward to it. You're probably due for another meal, so we'll wrap it up.
Oh, yeah. I've only eaten 3 times already. So it's another meal or another trip to the bathroom. That's the only thing that's on my plate.
That's it. And
like 7 more podcasts today. So,
right. Okay, guys, thanks so much. And until next time, keep the air in the spare and the bag of the wheel.
boom.